The third night then is where things really get interesting. We'll go into the city of Banff in the Canadian Rockies. We're going to overnight in Banff. The next day we'll go through the Icefield Parkway, that 135-mile scenic section that goes between Jasper National Park and Banff National Park. We'll go into Jasper and spend the night in Jasper. From Jasper then we'll head north and pick up the Alaska Highway at Dawson Creek at milepost 0. We'll go in then to Fort Nelson, British Columbia for the night. We'll cross over then the next day and come up into the Yukon, spending it at Watson Lake, Yukon Territory. The next day we'll go into the capital city of the Yukon to Whitehorse. Then we'll follow the Klondike Highway up through, the Alaska Highway up through Kluane National Park, entering the state of Alaska, overnighting at Tok, and then up into Fairbanks. We'll spend 2 nights in Fairbanks, and I'll go through this a little bit more thorough in a few minutes when I go into one of the interior tours that I'll talk about. But then from Fairbanks, we'll take the Alaska Gold Star Rail for a 5-hour train trip from Fairbanks down to Denali National Park. You're going to spend 2 nights in Denali and go all the way back to a little place called Kantishna and Wonder Lake. We'll come back in overnight again in Denali. We'll then come down to the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge, spend the night in the Talkeetna Alaskan Lodge, and then we'll come down through Anchorage, enter the Kenai Peninsula. We'll board our cruise ship in Seward, and we'll do our 7-day cruise coming back into Vancouver. You'll transfer from the airport in Vancouver down to Seattle, fly Seattle back into Minneapolis. And I will cover that cruise in just a few minutes to go in detail, but I just don't want to be repetitive and do it time and time and time again. So that is an outline kind of what the 22-day Alaskan Canadian Rockies program goes. This year we have 2 departures, June 1st and June 3rd. Next year, I think we'll probably have 3 departures that'll still be in maybe the last week of June and into the last week of May and into the first week of June. The following tour on pages 10 and 11 is almost the identical tour in reverse. But if you are looking for a tour of Alaska that's going to provide the most beautiful scenery and the most wildlife, this is the most incredible tour that you're going to experience. It's called Alaska and the Canadian Rockies in the Fall Colors. And just incidentally to let you know that my company was the first tour company in the world that started a fall color program in the state of Alaska. And we did that in about 1990, 89, 90. At that time, the cruise ships, Denali Park, everything was closed as of September 1st. That's when we went up there with our groups. And the fall colors of Alaska are really incredible. But what you'll do on this particular program is you'd fly from Minneapolis to Vancouver, then to Seattle, and then transfer to Vancouver. We'll then do a 7-day cruise from Vancouver going north up into Seward. We'll transfer from Seward to Anchorage, and then from Anchorage we'll go north up to Denali National Park. We'll spend 1 night in Denali. We'll do the Tundra Wildlife Tour in Denali, and from there we'll catch the Alaska Gold Star Rail and get into Fairbanks. We'll spend our 2 nights in Fairbanks doing all of the tours and attractions. We'll come down on the Alaska Highway into Tok. This whole area now is in fall colors from the time you get into Alaska all the way down. As we come down, the fall colors are going to follow us south all the way down. So we'll be overnighting in Anchorage, as I say, or excuse me, in Tok. We'll come into the Yukon, overnighting in Whitehorse. From Whitehorse, we'll come across again into Watson Lake, then to Fort Nelson, coming across. We'll then come into the Canadian Rockies.